Welcome back to Winners and Losers, a show that looks at the highs and the lows around world football this weekend. We start, as we always do, with the talking point, which was submitted by Stephen Fabricius.
Loyal to the game.
He submitted Fernandinho, but we want to talk about City closing the gap as a whole, Hamill.
We do, Joseph. Of course, we covered this match on the Football Social. I'm sure you tuned in. If you didn't, then please tune in next week.
Fake fans.
Please, need those views. Anyway, City did reduce Liverpool's lead at the top of the table to 4 points with a stunning 2-1 win at the Etihad. And in all fairness, particularly in the opening exchanges, this could have gone either way, with Mane hitting the post before goal line technology saved Ederson's blushes by 11 millimetres.
The shadow was over, mate.
Seen the tweets do the round. A little bit pathetic from whoever tweeted that. Lose with a bit of good grace.
The shadow was over the line.
Yeah.
You know, that camera angle.
Actually, one of the best tweets I saw that weekend was someone saying Liverpool 1-0 up in the Silhouette Derby. So
yeah,
class
good.
from
Very
whoever
good.
put that out. But Aguero scored his 7th goal against Liverpool at the Etihad, maintaining his 100% record. Brilliant form from him.
That's crazy.
Although conversely, I think he scored 0 at Anfield. So really does prefer playing at home against the Reds. He now becomes only the 4th player to score 10+ goals in 8 consecutive Premier League campaigns, joining Rooney, Lampard, and who else? Let us know if you know in the comments below. Now,
know.
The game itself was extremely close, wasn't it? Fine margins personified in this game. 9 shots, 4 on target from City, 7 shots for Liverpool, 5 coming on target. Expected goals, which, you know, the spirit of Van Straten lives, we all like that metric on this show, actually swung in the Reds' favour, 1.38 to City's 1.18. So, like I said, very, very marginal, but the chances that Liverpool produced arguably of a slightly better quality than Manchester City. And the players that produced these fine margins included Raheem Sterling. He was brilliant, really took the game by the scruff of the neck, didn't it, when it looked like it was escaping City. He completed 3 tackles and interceptions, also completed 3 dribbles, laid on a monstrous 4 chances for his teammates in this game. Only had 1 shot though. He was badgered by the Liverpool defence, in particular Robertson. I'm going to touch upon him in a second. And he maybe should have scored that chance that he kind of scuppered on the edge of the area, but there was a fair few Liverpool bods in between him and the goal. Bernardo Silva as well deserves a special mention on the defensive end. 13.7 kilometres covered. That is huge.
That's
the most of any Premier League player this campaign at the very least. 10 ball recoveries, 6 tackles and interceptions to boot as well. Now for Liverpool, like I said, Robertson, he's just been Mr. Consistent, hasn't he, this season? 5 tackles and interceptions this game. Also registered an assist. That was his 4th of the season. And the frantic pace meant that the forward players really had to make their chances that came few and far between count in this game. Mane and Salah only registered 2 shots on target combined. That was the same as Aguero. And they were both dispossessed 3 times each, which you expect in a game like this, given the tempo, given the end-to-end nature. But it really does show that just because Aguero was slightly more at the races, that's why, you know, City came out on top, as well as Fernandinho just shielding the back four like a madman, which you're going to touch upon after this VT, because Pep said as much beforehand, didn't he, that if they lost this game, he thought the league title was over. 10 points. Pep Guardiola.
Well, losing today was almost done. The fact that it would be 10 points plus goal difference, 11 points, would be so difficult to, you know, to turn this situation. But we cannot forget, still we are 4 points behind them, and they are the leaders. So still we have to fight a lot, but still, of course, they give us a lot of confidence, because the last 2 games we came back, you know what we were, because Fernandinho came back. We cannot forget we play many times in the last period with key players for us.
But as Stephen Fabricius said, we've got to talk about Fernandinho, because he is getting better and better with age. He's like a fine wine. Exactly. In this one, 5 tackles and interceptions, but it wasn't just his defensive output that was so good. He was brilliant in transition. He was winning everything aerially. He basically manhandled the entire Liverpool midfield single-handedly. I know that Bernardo Silva put in lots of work, but Fernandinho's class and quality on the ball was ridiculous in this game. And kind of, you'd have to say, I would anyway, that he's probably City's most important player right now. Do you guys at home think that Fernandinho is City's most important player? Vote in the poll up there. Because if you look at his win record with and without Fernandinho, Pep, he's got 71% win record when Fernandinho's in the side.
That's crazy.
59% when he's out of it. Obviously, he missed, didn't he, the Leicester and the Palace games, which... Did they lose both of those? Lost one, drew one?
Didn't go according to plan. Lost both of them.
Lost both of them. So Fernandinho clearly a vital component to that City team. It was an interesting City team as well. Obviously, he used Laporte as a left back, didn't he, in this one? Added a bit of solidity. They were very good defensively, I thought, Man City, even though they did give up a few big chances. I also thought that they utilised that left-hand side really, really well. Leroy Sané was the biggest output, wasn't it? He was the key forward, really, on that out of all those front three. I know that Raheem Sterling had the chances, but nearly every attack went down that left-hand side through Leroy Sané, who completed 2 dribbles, put in 3 tackles and interceptions, and had 64 touches. That was most of any of City's attackers. The problem City have, though, is that this player, Fernandinho, is now 33, and finding a replacement for what is arguably the league's best central midfielder this season is nigh on impossible. Where do you find him? I mean, we've talked about Ruben Neves potentially, but Ruben Neves is a long way off the level of Fernandinho.
Yeah, not really the same sort of player, because I suppose KDB could be deployed in the same sense that Ruben Neves could, as a distributor, as a deep-lying playmaker. But that's not really what Fernandinho does. His passing is great, but it is all about that mystic meg levels of reading the game and completing those interceptions and tackles. Yeah, it's going to be a really hard feat to replace.
Yeah, I don't know who they would replace him with, but who do you think could replace Fernandinho in the long run? Let us know in the comments below, but all round a good week for Manchester City and Fernandinho.
Our first winner comes from Steph_Michael10, and it is Joe Willock, who made a pillock of Gary Bowye's Blackpool.
Oh, poor old Blackpool club, fully ruined by their owners, but on the day they were also ruined by a 19-year-old Joe Willock. Obviously, he scored a brace in a extremely heavily rotated Arsenal side as they romped Blackpool 3-0 in the Cup. In the lineup was also Eddie Nketiah and Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Was that the front three then? Those three? Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
Played a 4-2-3-1.
Wow, 4-2-3-1 with those young three in the side. Now, Willock's obviously shown quite decent potential in the Europa League, completing 2.5 dribbles per 90 and carving out over a chance and a half for his teammates too. And he really sees the opportunity on the night against Blackpool, becoming the first Arsenal teenager to score in the FA Cup since Aaron Ramsey 9 years ago now. We're in 2019, guys.
Should we be impressed with Joe Willock, or is that poor from Arsenal in terms of bringing on youth?
I think a mixture of both. Obviously, the main headlines about Arsenal this week have been about Ramsey and him potentially joining Juventus. It seems like a pre-contract has been agreed. Di Marzio, the ever-reliable Di Marzio, are back.
Classic business from Juventus. Yeah. Very Emre Can, very Sami Khedira, who he's probably going to replace in that lineup. I've heard rumours circulating of them offering a player to Arsenal in a bid to secure this deal early doors. Not that they need him for a title race.
But he wouldn't be
already wrapping
Champions League
Serie A up. He wouldn't be. You are correct, because of course that doesn't apply cross-competition now.
It doesn't. They changed the rules. So that could be an interesting one for Juventus to keep your eye on, whether or not they bring him in this window or wait and get him on a free in June. But it was Ramsey's deflected free kick that rebounded off the post. Willock tucked it in, scoring for the 13th time FA Cup winners Arsenal. 13 times, but just an all-round good performance from a 19-year-old.
Yeah, and his second goal actually came from even closer in. Not a vintage double, but a double nonetheless, showing his predatory instincts, sweeping in Jenkinson's deflected cross. Now, he also completed 4 tackles and laid on 2 chances for his teammates in this game, showing how well-rounded the youngster is, but he did surrender possession around 7 times, which was the second highest in the game after Blackpool's Feeney, I believe.
Great player, Feeney.
For stats here.
Great player.
This is prime content. And he completed 20 fewer passes than Petr Cech too, so was uninvolved for large spells of the game, so plenty of room for improvement, but making decent use of the minutes nonetheless, like Joe said. However, I think this should have been much closer on the night. Gary Bowye's men still carved out some decent opportunities, really highlighting Arsenal's defensive frailties. because it was a rotated squad, but there were still some first teams in there, like Socrates. Lichtsteiner was playing centre-half, of course, in this game. Now, they registered 4 efforts on target to Arsenal's 6, so not too far behind in that regard. Ex-Salford fullback, we did a documentary on Salford recently on FDFC, go and watch that bad boy, on 30k views on a channel with 16k subs, so must be vintage content.
Good work, James.
Yeah, but Michael Nottingham passed up a glorious opportunity from about 9 yards at 0-2 down, so could have halved the deficit there. Now, this prompted Unai Emery to bring on some of his big guns, which I'm sure he didn't want to do in this game. Nketiah, who failed to register a shot on target in 3 attempts, was a little bit wasteful, missed some decent opportunities. One at the back post springs to mind. He came off for Lacazette in the 64th minute. So Lacazette still having to put in half an hour performance there. Alex Iwobi, though, closed out the goal scoring on the 82nd minute with only his 3rd goal of the campaign, with Laka and Ramsey combining. Substitute goalkeeper Christopher Mufambi tipping, I think it was Ramsey's effort into Iwobi's path. And it was a really simple finish for him, but he was offside. So Arsenal should have only won by 2, and they surrendered some really decent chances. So I think the scoreline a little bit generous there, but they live to fight another day in the FA Cup, and I'm sure the youngsters will be relishing a second chomp at the bit. Yeah, let's move on from that. Next team.
Our first losers of the day come from London. It's the Cottagers. This was suggested by H. North 98.
Yeah, this is perhaps, along with Leicester, which happened a little bit too late for them to be included in the script, the biggest upset of the round. It's the magic of the FA Cup. We all like a giant killing, but I'm sure Fulham fans will be absolutely livid. This was an easy opportunity to build some confidence, to get some goals for their goal-shy forwards, and it was just a nightmare 90 minutes. The disastrous season continued. Knocked out the FA Cup, of course, losing 2-1 at home to League 2 side Oldham Athletic. Part of me loves it, and part of me just thinks, oh, I mean, with this sort of form, Fulham are nailed on to go down.
I know.
And I didn't particularly want them to go down at the start of the season, but it's looking more and more deserved,
Them and
isn't
Huddersfield.
it? Now,
God.
defeat was actually made all the more painful because they actually took the lead through Dennis Odoi before substitute Surridge equalised from the spot after Sessegnon bundled Peter Clark to the ground. Callum Lang then scored the winner with 2 minutes of normal time remaining, so it's done so in dramatic fashion. And if that sounds bad enough, moments earlier, Mitrovic missed a penalty with what I think was his first touch of the ball after coming on. I don't think anyone wanted to take that from him after the whole debacle the other week. Was it with Kamara?
It was with Kamara when Ranieri goes, I wanted to kill him.
I wanted to kill him.
Great
And I'm sure post-game Ranieri will want to take a few more heads because this was a terrible, terrible showing. They've only won 2 of the last 9 Premier League games in which Ranieri has been at the helm. That's 3 draws and 4 losses. They remain 4 points from safety, and his 6 changes from their 4-1 defeat to Arsenal didn't work at all. No one staking a claim for a start in the Premier League here. Now, he'll be really disappointed with their finishing in particular, which has been the case all season. Their chance creation has been decent, but they've just been poor in terms of being decisive. They dominated with 60% possession, had 20 shots to Oldham's 7, but only put 2 on target to the Lactic's 5s. 5s. 1, 2, 3. No, why am I doing that? Rock, paper, scissors. Anyway, it's been the story of the season. Like I said, created plenty of chances. In fact, 12.1 shots per game. That's 11th in the league. Only 0.5 fewer than Spurs, but they've only scored 19 goals. 18th best, or second worst in the division, only above Newcastle and Huddersfield, who have Joselu, and I mean Huddersfield. Who do they have up front?
I'll be honest, Huddersfield are definitely
Potter.
going down. I mean, Huddersfield are what we thought Cardiff would be at the start of the season. Wagner is drowning. That loss against Bristol City, I mean,
harrowing.
I don't know how David Wagner's still in charge. He hasn't got much longer left, I don't think. But let's just touch on Oldham, because there might be one Oldham fan watching. If you are an Oldham fan, hello, let us know in the comments below. But they obviously sacked their manager, Frankie Bunn, on the 27th, on the 27th of December after that 6-0 defeat to Carlisle. Not good. But they did. They gave the they gave the managerial position to Peter Wild, who is, I think he was the head of the youth team, but he's a massive Oldham fan as well. Won his first 2 league games against Port Vale and Notts County, and now has taken the scalp of the Tinkerman. He scalped the Tinkerman, and his celebration was class on the sideline, by the way.
Just jumping up and down,
wasn't it? Just star jumping, absolutely world class. They're actually 59 places below Fulham, by the way, in the league. That's how bad a result this was for Fulham. It's also Oldham's first away win against the Premier League side since January 2008, 11 years ago.
Vintage Oldham side.
When they beat Everton 1-0. That was David Moyes' Everton side as well. So not an easy task, because back then Moyes was actually decent. For anyone who didn't watch Everton back in the day and now thinks David Moyes is just a meme, well, back in the day, that Everton side was pretty strong.
Might be taking over Stoke soon, though. So.
Oh, Gary Rowett's doing a great job down there.
Glory days.
Anyway, they're now through to the FA Cup 4th round for the first time in 6 years, and we have to give some credit, despite Mitrovic missing that penalty, to Daniel Iversen, who is the Danish goalkeeper for Oldham. It was a really good save. But overall, Fulham, what the f is going on? It's just no good, is it? Massive game coming up against Burnley now. If they don't win that game against Burnley, they are gone. I actually think they're going to go.
Done for.
Not even bringing in Ranieri has been able to change their fortunes.
Bloody lost the Ham derby, haven't they? So.
Shocking.
Now Burnley. Yeah. You wanted variety in winners and losers, and this week you are getting it with the FA Cup. We're staying in the lower divisions. League One, Portsmouth are our next shout and our final winners. And this comes from Jack Darby, who we could have touched upon as well.
I mean, how's this made it in? I mean, it's all well and good having variety, but then there's talking about Portsmouth. Apologies if anybody did want to hear about Portsmouth. Any Portsmouth fans that are watching, congratulations, because you are top of League One and you took a massive scalp of Norwich on the weekend. Norwich, who have been excellent in the Championship this year. Obviously, a 1-0 victory. I think the goal was actually from a 20-year-old substitute who's on loan from Aston Villa, Andre Green, in the 95th minute as well.
Drama. We love that. FA Cup.
The stuff dreams are made of. While they did grab the goal on the break from a Norwich last-ditch gung-ho attack, so counter-attacking Pompey, they did match Norwich as well, pretty much shot for shot on the day. That's how good this performance was. 15 shots Norwich had, Portsmouth had 14. Portsmouth actually had 7 shots on target in this game. So no, it wasn't even a robbery. This was an excellent performance by Portsmouth. They continue their fantastic form from the league. 7. It's crazy. It was also Andre Green's 2nd successive winner in the competition, having netted a last-minute goal against Rochdale in the round previous. And their recent form as a side has been awesome. They've won 8 of their last 10 games, drawn 1, lost 1. And to be honest, their victory over City gives them 3 wins on the bounce now. They're flying, Portsmouth. It's so good to see. This is a side that nearly lost its status in league football.
Bloody won the thing not long ago, didn't they?
I know. It's incredible. It's so good to see them bouncing back. Kenny Jackett, of course, is in charge down there. His side have been top since September, 5 points clear of Luton. It's just good to see a side that's top of the league and also having a good run in the cup from a lower division. I don't know whether they should focus on returning to the Championship or getting deep in the FA Cup more. For me, probably focus on the Championship, but if you're going to give the FA Cup a go, then congratulations.
Kenny Jackett. I mean, can you think of any more managers whose second name is food as well? Or items of clothing? Let me know on Twitter. Yeah. So.
Massimo Macaroni. Is he in there? Anyway?
Oh, well, he's not a manager, but that's a great shout. Yeah, slightly unfortunate day for Norwich, who made life difficult for themselves. Let's say Grant Hanley sent off in the 15th minute for a pretty cynical last man foul on Ronan Curtis. Now, the team who sits second in the Championship, 23 places above Portsmouth, struggled to create clear-cut opportunities as expected goals dictates after Hanley's sending off, really having to rejig the system and lost a bit of attacking impetus as a result. Only 3 shots on target, like Joe mentioned, which is surprising because, you know, amidst their ranks, Teemu Pukki, ex-Celtic, terrible at Celtic.
FIFA legend. Shout out if you remember him.
One of the palest footballers I've ever seen. Looked like he had weak bones at Celtic, but he's absolutely flying, and fair play to the guy, loving life in East Anglia.
Yeah, he was such a bad boy FIFA player, because he was one of those silver cards that was shiny and had pumped up
He had silver
stats.
skin, never mind silver cards.
Class. If you remember his Ultimate Team card, then real fan.
But yeah, ex-Schalke cost us 4 mil, so where was this sort of form in the SPFL? Thanks, Timu. I don't think Daniel Farke will be too devastated to be out of this competition, though. He made 8 changes to the lineup, so probably anticipated an upset somewhere along the line. Much more focused on championship promotion, of course, chasing down that automatic promotion spot right now. And good luck to Norwich. You know, bloody lovely city when I went. Upper Donkey Road, maybe. Something like that. Had a lovely meal there. So... well played, Norwich.
Our final loser of the day was sent in by James Aviator G. He says Stoke.
Or Aviator, as that word is probably
Yeah,
pronounced.
I mean, it is definitely Aviator.
Yeah, anyway.
Aviator.
It was a top effort. Stoke City avoided FA Cup third round embarrassment, drawing 1-1 away to League One side Shrewsbury. And we've not only included Stoke because of this result, but because of their form in general. Like Joe sounded out earlier, they have been terrible despite spending £30 million in the summer on new players in a bid to get back to the Premier League at the first time of asking. And it's definitely not happening, is it?
They are
and
a
Rowett,
mess.
people were saying, when Marco Silva took over at Hull, they were saying, why isn't Rowett been given a chance? Well, here's his chance at a club that should be performing above this level, and he's not really making the most of it, is he? Now, Ollie Norben put the home side in front from the penalty spot after Tom Edwards fouled Aaron Amadi Holloway in the dying moments of the first half. It's Aaron from behind the camera. Aaron Amadi Holloway. He used to have an Aaron playing for my team who spelt his name like that, Sunday League level, and that's why I bloody said it. Peter Crouch came off the bench. I think that's why we picked this side, because James Aviator highlighted the fact that they were reliant on a 37-year-old.
I mean, to a level.
To get them out of the against Shrewsbury.
I mean, he has done more podcasts and scored goals this season.
He has, and I've heard the podcast is very good from Doogie. He's a massive fan.
I think it is.
He scored in the 78th minute. He's now got 2 goals in 23 appearances this season. Why is he making 23 appearances if they've spent 30 million and he's 37 and he does nothing but make podcasts? We'd love to have you on our podcast, by the way.
Yeah, so. We do like you, Peter. Like you.
You know, if you're watching Winners and Losers in the dying embers of Winners and Losers, please come on. Now, the Potters haven't won a game in 4 matches and sit 14th in the Championship, 8 points off the final playoff spots, and 8 points in the Championship is a tall order to recover on. Those games come thick and fast, don't they? Shrewsbury are currently also struggling in League One, which makes this all the more embarrassing. They're in 16th place, and they still managed 5 shots on target to Stoke's 2. So a pretty dismal day at the office for Rowett's men, and after the game, the Stoke fans displaying Rowett out banners during the previous 4 games, and no doubt this will have exacerbated the situation no end. Now, since leaving Derby County to join Stoke, the 44-year-old has only won 8 out of 26 league matches, so maybe a bit fortunate to be 14th at this point. But Joe, do you want to talk about Shrewsbury for a little bit before we wrap this up? And respect to anyone who's still with us. Huge respect. Send us this screenshot. Oh, for respect. Is that the right way around?
I'll be honest though, just to touch on Gary Rowett, it is puzzling how poor he's doing, because he actually did a fairly decent job at Derby, didn't he?
Yeah.
And now Frank Lampard is flying with what is effectively
quite a lot of managers have done a
Mason
decent
Mount.
job at Derby, haven't they, to an extent.
Yeah.
It's one of those clubs that...
Well, Derby always fly till Christmas, and then just as they're about to make the playoffs, collapse. But anyway, yeah, let's do like 2 points on Shrewsbury, because there might be half a Shrewsbury fan watching. Maybe even a third of a Shrewsbury fan. Let's be honest, they were the better team probably, because their keeper only actually had to make 1 save. I mean, 1 goal did go in. So Shrewsbury's great performance, though, will be dampened a little bit by the injury of club captain Lennell John Lewis.
Not enough Lennells out there.
Not enough people named after shops out there, mate. Lennell John Lewis.
Oh, fair play.
Any other players that are named after shops?
Is there any Aldis? Any Liddles out there?
There must be a Lidl.
Kevin Little.
A Sainsbury's. I bet there's a Sainsbury out there. A Sainsbury?
Yeah.
If there's a Tesco,
surely.
it's a vibe.
Right.
That'd be world class. Anyway, Shrewsbury Ross Sam Ricketts. Is that the legendary Sam Ricketts,
and
the Bolton player?
Is there any other players out there named after medical conditions? Because Ricketts
wow.
is definitely one, so...
Probably.
Scurvy. Is there a scurvy out there?
Is there a gonorrhea out there?
We've fully lost it at the end of
Fully lost it. I'll be honest, let's just wrap up there because Shrewsbury Town, I don't know anything about them. I mean, they are 16th in League One.
Can't imagine the appetite's massive. But if your appetite's still massive, what else is going out of football daily, you know, today and in the foreseeable future?
It's Euro Football Daily time, Euro Roundup. That's right. EFDERU. Real Madrid are in there because they got smashed at home by Sociedad.
There's actually a better lineup in ERU.
Much better.
Wait for that. You should have waited for that.
Yeah, probably,
not tuned into
probably
this.
should have just watched ERU.
Wow.
Bye.